Because I'm gonna let you know, if you're in the water, you're gonna die. Illuminati dies here today, Mom.
It's a shark in the zoo. They say in Babylon, put the mark on them too. His whole body light so we can maul other guys. If my all-seeing eye going dark on me too. And them coffers for you. I'm ready so the devil who I call out first. I heard God call, he said behind the great wall. He I made a sword off to kick them all off earth. So my click don't play. Heaven gotta choose the wolf or the lamb. Get shot down by a pig in the street. Why do niggas gotta beef when it's a whole lot of ham? Alright, it's a hole in the dam. They can't flood Merc, so they shoot down gangs. Merc fly high, baby, Merc won't die. I don't see nobody here that can shoot down planes. It's like I shoot down veins. You're turning everybody in the hood to an addict. You look 6th grade to a bully with a habit. Cause I'm a switchblade or a fully automatic. Let's go. It's only 2 ways out. Don't ever try to sit or think I'm running cause you can't. It's only screaming die while you running out of tank. Or screaming try bitch while you running out the bank. Cause my click don't pay. I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. My hoe act right like she came with an Emmy. She want black pipe cause she came with the Remy. Ain't no pain even in me. You probably wouldn't know the way I blow back kush. It's 5 knockouts when it's 5 cops out. Or it's 5 shots out from the big bad wolf. Better bitch gon' say that my click don't play. I threw a clip in the cave, but I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. Better bitch gon' say that my click don't play. I threw a clip in the cave, but I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. Better bitch gon' say this is the only way I know to handle this. A whole lot of guns and a whole lot of cannabis.
Shots fired at ScrewTube, but shots out to you carbon babies. This is your melanated warrior, Heru Heinous, and this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts, because the facts are the only things that matter in a race where the first one to the mind is the winner. So what's up, y'all? Obviously, it's Friday. We got some heat for y'all. We got some heat. Allow y'all to come in here just for a little bit, right? Because we got some things to discuss. It's finna be dope. It's finna be dope because obviously there's finna be a small recap because, the importance of us trying to make sure that these concepts become integral, become an integral part of the way that you see this existence, experience this realm. This is real key. I can't state that enough, so we don't mean to beat a dead horse, but obviously we have to do a little bit of recap to catch those people up who may just be tuning in for the first time. So shouts out to you, but always shouts out to the FOS squad because we're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to learn something new. We're ready to develop. We're ready to take in information that can help us reach the next level. So in the previous segment, what were we talking about? We were talking about being symbol literate, all of that good stuff. But more importantly, what we were talking about, as we suggested in this intro, was changing your framework. Changing the way you see this. This is the only thing that's going to continue to reinforce that zeal that you have, because every now and then we get tired, right? We get exhausted. We get down. We get discouraged. We get overwhelmed. And so we need to know that what we're doing is something that is concrete. All right. This is these crystal wars that we talked about. Who were the real players behind these things? Some of the real symbolism, because ultimately when we discuss these things, one of our paramount concerns with a lot of people, and let them be non-believers because we know we're over that because we matured. But one of our paramount concerns is that we think that we're going to be seen as pseudo anytime we mention crystal, because most people have a Hollywood mindset. Okay. They forgot everything that was mentioned in school. And this was done by design, right? They taught us a lot of the things that would really help us, especially spiritually, would really help us if they disclosed to us what the ancients had already knew, right? Remember, because they peddled this idea that they were backward, that they were primitive, and nothing could be further from the truth. We showed you the power of these things. So quickly, what we'll do is we're going to look at the periodic table of elements. I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. you guys. Hold on 1 second while we look at this. I gotta find it. So this one I put together, as you can see, as always, what happens when I put together something that just sparked me, because it did spark me, you guys. I had to put this segment together. Hold on. I'm gonna find it. Okay, it's got to be right here. Okay, so matter of fact, let me go back 1 second just to make sure that you guys can hear me as I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys hear me? One's in the chat if you can hear me. So I'm gonna wait. One's in the chat if you can hear me. Well, what I'll do is I should be able to, hold on. Should be able to, hold up. Yeah, give me 1 second. All right. Where do we go? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna look in the chat, make sure you guys can hear me before we get started. Give me ones if you guys can hear me. So I'm looking in. All right. So I got one, so you guys can hear me as I share the screen. All right. So let's get into it. Okay. So remember, we were talking about making sure that you guys understood the power of reframing the way that you see your, this existence, this experience. And we were telling you that a lot of this truth was right here in this periodic table of elements, right? And as you can see, this light purple and dark purple alkali metals. All right, this lighter purple right here, you got earth metals, okay, and then you got transition metals because they transition into things, okay. So the vast majority of these are also metals, semi-metals and non-metals, okay. So like I said, 3/4 damn near of this periodic table of elements are metals. 3/4 of it are metals. This is where we come into alchemy, showing you what you're really made out of. This is key. This is essential. We told you that this magnesium, this calcium, this iron, this sodium, all of these minerals are crystals, are metals. In the periodic table of elements, brothers and sisters, these are metals. And see how the information is presented to you through compartmentalized thought. These disciplines like nutrition and everything else, it talks to you about minerals, and so you get lost, failing to realize that this is all a part of the plan to distance you from what you really are. So something is key. So we established to you through this periodic table of elements that obviously 3/4 of this presentation is made of metals, therefore listing or recreating you as an organic metallic being. Okay? Recasting you as an organic metallic being. This is important. Why is this important? Because so many of us, let me talk to you when I tell you this. So many of us, what we do is we fail to, like, when we get caught up in the Blanco's narrative, which is a lot of people are even often, talking about how it may turn over, AI will control things. Okay. And we know AI is made. Now we begin to recognize metal for what it is, right? We see the AI is made of metal, although we ignore the fact that we're made of metal, right? The real organic metallic beings. The difference between them and us is obviously how it's constructed, but we're made of the same stuff. But this is the key. We have an energy called sexual energy that I talked to you about, the ability to reproduce. Now dwell on this. If AI takes over, which is this narrative, remind you how I also said this hints at this attempt at sexual war, right? A sexual warfare. Hold on 1 second. Sexual warfare, right? This hints at it. What we're saying is that when you look at hold on, let me bring this back up. For that did it so I can present it. Okay, this hints at sexual warfare because AI, I prepped the article. What AI is, AI cannot reproduce. This is one thing that you got to understand is key. AI cannot reproduce. So they're already letting you know and establishing what type of energy resides in them. As we already know that they have real trouble reproducing to begin with, but they want to recreate the framework of this matrix in with AI. And if you're suggesting that AI is going to rule, who's going to be reproducing? Who's going to be reproducing? This is when you have to entertain these ideas and thoughts of transhumanism, because obviously the only ones who are going to have a chance at being here are those who are living forever, so to speak, and they will only have a glimpse at being able to do something like that as if they think, from what they think is being able to become half man, half machine. Okay, but we are already those things. But we are born with the gift. We are born with the sun, and we're born with the crystal that allows us to reproduce. Okay, that is the difference. We're going to get off into this, so I want you guys to really take hold of that right quick. So what I'm going to do is, oh, hold on. Let me stop this right quick. I don't know why that was even playing. What I want to do is I want to pull up an article. I want to pull up a very important article. And this is extremely important, you guys. This is extremely important. Make sure I cut the sound on that so that doesn't interrupt us. So what I want to do, even before I show you this article, I want to see in the chat, because I'm asking you a question, because like I said, we're going to make an attempt to make this interactive too as well. But hold on to, we're going to have some of the most powerful information presented in this segment, because as I told you, we're going to build alchemy style, right? These are still crystal wars, but we're taking this to the next level so you can see how a lot of this stuff started off and exactly where it's going, because you must be aware of this, right? All right. So this is my question. Anybody in the chat? How many people, I mean, we heard all the things that this existence, all of it is crystals. What do you guys think the biggest crystal is? Like, what pops in your head when you think of a large crystal? What pops in your head when you think of a large crystal? I just want to see a couple of opinions in the chat. What pops in your head when you think of a large crystal? That's what I want to know. What pops in your head when you think of a large crystal? Hold on 1 second. The sun. Oh, okay. Yep. Of course. Of course. I could dig it. Cosmic Style said the sun too. Okay, I'm keep getting the sun, the firmament. Yep. I'm gonna show you just in 1 second. Hold on, because I got one of my moderators is hitting me up. Let me hit him back. A big diamond. Okay, all right. We got some real good answers in the chat. Hold on 1 second. Let me send this text message. All right. Okay. So let me look. I'm looking back in this chat. So we got the sun, we got the firmament, water, obviously. That's yep. Because like we said, okay, we got the sun. Those are all great answers. But the most mystic crystal in and of itself, in its crystallized form, right? In its crystallized, a solid form. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to show you exactly what that is. Encyclopedia Britannica, folks, written by Peter H. Monar. So this is mountains. We're going to show you what mountains are. Obviously, you can see the crystal. But see, of course, when people first talk about these things, all right, this sounds ridiculous to them. But the Blanco's going to show you how much he knows about these mountains. And we're going to go off into the esoteric side of this, because you already know that there's always, this is a double-edged sword when you're digging deep, inside this rabbit hole. Okay, so landform that rises prominently above its surroundings, generally exhibiting steep slopes. But what we're going to do, we're going to go off to the most important part of this information. We're going to start at where it says the folding of layers. Okay, give me 1 second to scroll down here. All right, because I had to, I'll be reading these whole articles, you guys, so I'll be having to remember where my marks are, and I have to challenge myself because I love to use my memory. Okay. All right, it says the folding of layers of sedimentary rocks with thickness of hundreds of meters to a few kilometers often leaves long parallel ridges and valleys termed fold belts. As for example, in the Valley and Ridge province of Pennsylvania in the eastern United States. But let's go down. So just to know, because they use folds, so I want to let you know what folds was, right? So it says most folds and thrust belts are bounded on one side or lie parallel to a belt or terrain of crystalline rocks. These are metamorphic and igneous rocks that in most cases solidified at depths of several kilometers or more, blah, blah, blah. So we just wanted to let you know that mountains, obviously are made of rocks and crystalline rocks at that. Like, pause. See, this is when we go back to, hold on. This is when we have to go back to school to remind ourselves that the vast majority of the information the Blanco had taught us or told us obviously was going to leave us because it was something, one, we felt like we couldn't use, and two, we had heard it such a long time ago. What utility does it have when those two things are combined, right? Now, so the point being is when you go back to what he was teaching you in geology class, remember he was telling you about different types of rocks, especially ones that are emitted by volcanoes, right? He was telling you that they were sedimentary rocks, igneous rocks, okay? And he was also telling you that they were metamorphic. So these are the three type of rocks. Igneous rocks basically are, mean hot rocks or rocks that come from the magma. Okay, we're about to get into some deep shit. So follow me and retain this, but we're going to revisit it. So don't worry about having to pay attention to all these things. But I know I'm jogging some of you scientists' memories, right? So you have igneous rock is crystalline, straight crystals. Okay, we're going to get into this. And then you have sedimentary rocks, which is just like all of the other shavings of other different crystals and rocks and stuff that have been degraded and eroded and stuff, and then they crystallize with other rocks. That's sedimentary rocks, okay? And then you have metamorphic rocks. It's just in the name. They begin to metamorphize after time, like a diamond. That could also be considered metamorphic. Now, this is the key. What you have with these mountains, what's so special about these mountains is what you have to start figuring out. Why such symbolism? Look at the Bibles, brothers and sisters. Hold on, let me also basalt in the mountains. Oh, we about to listen. Break down. We about to break it down. It's about to get heavy up in here. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. These mountains make crystals, and we finna go off into some deep articles. But we can substantiate all of this because we told you, generally speaking, everything is made up of crystals. This entire universe, so mountains are no surprise, right? They're a part. You wouldn't be able to see this if this was not a part of this phenomenon we call matter in a solid, liquid, or gas state. Obviously, mountains in a solid state. So the point being is that when you look at these crystals in this way, with these, with these mountains, now you begin to understand a different type of significant. You have a different type of view of these mountains, right? Because spiritually, what we've seen Moses go to the mountain, right? Come down with these commandments, okay? We seen Muhammad in 610 CE go into Mount Hira. All right, going to Mount Hira, and he there was approached by the angel Gabriel, and that was his first revelation and inspired him to write the Quran. All right, so why do they go in these mountains? Now that you, like I said, we'll start to craft this crystal narrative. You'll begin to see the symbolism in it. You'll begin to see the symbolism in it because now you will understand, because we ain't finna hold no punch. We ain't finna keep you in suspense because we got a lot to build on. So now you see why they come from the Caucasus Mountains. Since you know mountains are crystals, they come from Caucasus. They're saying symbolically they come from a type of crystals in these mountains. Now, this is why these mountains these volcanoes are extremely important. And we're about to get off into this and show you some videos to substantiate all this because we got to bring the science, right? We just can't talk and just leave you out there when you're trying to explain or relay this information to other people if need be, right? And if also you have to convince self because you want to stand on conviction. You don't want to stand on opinion. You don't want to waver. You want to be able to look at this existence in a totally different light. So what we're going to do is I'm finna prep this article before we actually before we take a look at it. Okay. Make sure this is it. Okay, this is it. So basically, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So we see volcanism because volcanism is what contributes to mountains. Volcanoes, that's why volcanoes, the god Vulcan and all of this stuff is powerful. A volcano is any location where magma comes to the surface. Now, this is very important. What I'm finna tell you guys right here is very important because we finna pause this and go to another article to show you. This is extremely important. This is extremely important. Hold on one second. Because before we go off into magma, I want you to understand. Magma is three major components of magma. Liquid. This is the portion of the magma that is made up of mobile ions from minerals that have liquefied mostly of the 8 common elements: silicon, oxygen, aluminum, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Okay? solid. This is a portion of magma that is made up of minerals that have crystallized, or crystals from the magma as it cools. So the solid is crystals. Then you have volatiles. These are the substances that can exist as gases in the magma, such as water, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide. So it's interesting. When you look at the Blanco, remember, he loves to manipulate so he keeps you away from the truth. You have the magma is literally the term for solid, liquid, and gas existing at the same time, interacting with one another, which we see in many instances, but this is the height of it. This is the height of its ability. At this ability, this is when it tends to create, and we're going to show you how powerful those creative forces are. But he shows you, he hides it, because you see the significance of it in his stories, in his tales, in his spiritual documents, in the Quran. And Muhammad had went to this mountain and received his first revelation and wrote the Quran. Also, we gave you examples, and we showed you the mountain. When I was on Sistar's channel, and I also showed you these images, I believe in the previous segment too as well, if not a segment before that, where it was in the Sierra de la Niaca, Chihuahua, Mexico. Okay. And that mountain in and of itself had these super large crystals. Now let me look this up and make sure that was the right mountain range. Oh no, it was the Sierra de Naica, Chihuahua, Mexico. Sierra de Naica, Chihuahua, Mexico. All right. So in that mountain range, you had these huge crystals, because this is ultimately what they do. Earth has a very particular process. I'm going to speak to you guys. I'm finna speak to you guys right quick. We finna get just a little bit sciencey, but not too much, right? We finna get a little sciencey, but not too much, because this is about to get deep right quick. So what you have is Earth in this liquid, this holy trinity of solid, liquid, and gas, of these crystals, form underneath the Earth's crust. The mantle or the rock begins to break down, right? And that mantle becomes this magma. Remember, this magma is three constituents. It's this liquid, it's this solid, these crystals, it's these volatiles, this gas, this sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, etc., coming into a form, right, that spills out. And when it spills on the surface, it becomes what we term as lava. But the pushing of this magnet or electromagnetism forms these solid crystal structures when it cools that the Blanco has called mountains. And inside these mountains, as we've seen in Sierra de Naica, Chihuahua, Mexico, they can become extremely large and powerhouses. Okay, and they spit out, very expensive and raw materials known as that. Okay, let's go to the article. Let me prep this article right quick. To show you before we start talking about, just so that, because I know I get to run off on tangents, I'll be loving to have this prep before I run off on this tangent, because this is extremely powerful stuff. All right, hold on one second. Where is it at? Hold on. We had it. I see. Where did it go? Sorry. Messing up my vibe, messing up my flow. Hey, Rue, come on now. Come on with you. Come on, bro. What we got going on? Man, I must have accidentally took it out of the... But basically what I wanted to show you guys, let's go back to that article that I was talking about, so that we can finish that. We can finish that at first. At least, because I want to show you. Obviously, we're gonna provide the evidence. This article says it too, but I wanted to show you a visual. All right, let's go. So, hold on. Okay, so, So the volcano is any location where magma comes to the surface, or has done so with the past several million years. This can include, eruptions on the ocean floor, even under the water lake, where they are called subaqueous eruptions, or on land where they are called subaerial eruptions. All right. Not all volcanic eruptions produce volcanic mountains. All right. But most of them do. They lead or contribute to them. Okay. It's other factors too as well. But most of the time, It's this volcanic it's this volcanic energy that produces it. It's called volcanism. A lot of people confuse the mountains with volcanoes. Volcano is the energy. The volcano is the magma. They telling you this magma, this creative energy is what this is what they're telling you. You have, because not all mountains are volcanoes. Okay, so that's one thing that we got to understand. Not all mountains are volcanoes. So in this article right here, what the Blanco decided to do was, because he had a problem on his hands. All of his explanations were not coming together. He started to see these crystals, as you notice right in the title. Let's go up to the title of this article. It's called Porosity Evolution of Mafic Crystal Mush During Reactive Flow. Now, this sound intelligent, but the Blanco not intelligent. Porosity just means holes. So he's saying these holes in these crystals are, must be responsible for this reactive flow of this magma, these crystals coming about, right? So let's go down just a little bit as he try to mayo-splain, because we know he's real good at that. All right. It says the mush paradigm raises fundamental questions about melt transport. Okay, he goes, hold on, that's not where we want to start. That's not where we want to start. Hold on. That's not where we want to start. Up just a little, let's see. Okay. All right, so it says, for most of the last century, models of igneous differentiation, and now this is going to be important, igneous differentiation and crustal magma transport have been dominated by the hypothesized presence of large melt-rich magma chambers. Within the last few decades, however, there has been a paradigm shift in how magmatic systems are pictured, moving away from the magma chamber hypothesis, because mind you, all this shit is hypotheses and theories and shit. Nothing's factual. And towards a model in which magma reservoirs are dominated by crystal-rich mush. Okay, so we're going to explain this, because remember he talks about igneous differentiation and all this, and then he's talking about melt. Remember what I explained, so let me come back and talk to you. So when you taking a look at, the Blanco understands that it's these crystals inside the earth. They generate this energy, and they actually come about shooting out gems and new crystals, new beings. Okay, this is essential. This is the creative process of Mother Earth. The crystals are a big part of this, because remember we told you they are a physical representation of the sexual energy. They hold the sexual energy. When I showed you that periodic table of elements, I want you to visualize that. Obviously, you can go back and revisit it if you need to help in visualization. But what you need to understand is, in that periodic table of elements, out of the 118 elements in that periodic table of elements, only 92 are naturally occurring. Okay, only 92 are naturally occurring. So that means 26 of these elements the Blanco man-made and shoved and put his crystals in there. Okay, is what you have to understand. He comes from a different crystal makeup. How do we know that? We brought you back to our Olmec ancestors. And this is what was mentioned in the chat when it came to the basalt or the magnetic rock. This was a mountainous region, brothers and sisters, where these ancient tribes were at, is what you have to understand. People go to mountain ranges all the time and retreat to mountains for religious and spiritual significance. Okay, it has a lot of religious and spiritual significance. Obviously, we know that is the root, in terms of being brought forth information. It came from the mountain. So remove the symbols, remove Muhammad, remove Moses, remove the human symbol, and it's saying that something was birthed out of a crystal to give information. Now you know why they so obsessed with these mountains. Everywhere you look up, you see these spiritual figures. They hiking up a mountain. They coming out a mountain. They going down a mountain. They fighting over mountains. Okay, I gotta show you guys something, right? Hold on, because I gotta. This has to be brought up. I don't know where this article went, but it's extremely important. Oh, here you go, right here. I'm tripping. I know I gotta see. I'll be underestimating myself. So let me share my screen to show you why I'm not kidding with you guys. Why do diamonds erupt from Earth's depths? Scientists have the answer, so they think. Scientists had the answer, so they think. All right. Rare volcanic blast of kimberlites happened about 25 million years after continental plates tear apart, blah, 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 all this different stuff. Okay. It says powerful volcanic eruptions that blast diamonds high into the sky and scatter the precious stones across the Earth's surface have long mystified researchers. But now scientists have worked out what unfolds more than 100 miles underground more than 100 miles underground to propel the crystals upward with such spectacular force. I am killing you niggas. There is a sweet spot in the interior of continents where diamonds form, said Professor Tom Gernon, a geologist at the University of Southampton who led the latest study. The question is, why on earth do they shoot up from the deep after spending potentially billions of years sitting there? It says sat there, but it should say sitting there. To solve the mystery, the international team analyzed historical data on continental plates, the vast slow-moving slabs of Earth's crust, and kimberlites, the diamond-bearing rocks ejected by the eruptions. They found that over the past billion years, most kimberlite eruptions happened about 25 million years after continental plates tore apart. Okay, so my job is done in terms of putting the nail in the coffin on that, in terms of letting you know that mountains are crystal havens. Let me. So we know that mountains are crystal havens. This is without a shadow of a doubt. All right, they spit out diamonds because they create the diamonds. The magma, 3 parts of the magma, one of its part is crystals, is diamonds. Okay, it's all these rare gems and jewels, and it goes through a scientific process called fractional crystallization. That's fancy, but it's not. It just means that the earth determines what crystals shoot forth. And this is important because it goes back. Remember that principle we talked about? What I told you to commit to memory? How the eggs of a female, she's born with like 6 million. Okay, or when a man ejaculates, he ejaculates about 6 million sperm, but only one usually gets to fertilize the egg. Only one egg usually gets to be fertilized by the female. You see, there is a conscious and well thought out and sophisticated plan put forth by nature to make sure that the right crystals get here. And we talked about how the Blanco subverts that by creating his own crystals. Just takes whatever egg and allows whatever crystals to come here, creating chaos. Creating chaos. And it's the same thing that the Earths do. It's literally called fractional crystallization, where the Earth selects certain crystals, and the Blanco will sit back and be like, "Oh, that's a new crystal. We've never seen that before." But just like us, don't you come from your parents? Don't they have parents? Don't their parents have parents, etc., etc.? All right. So even though, like we said, you're a new being, you're an old being technically. Generally speaking, you're a new being because you're a composite of your parents and their parents and their parents' parents, etc. You see what I'm saying? Just like these crystals, the Blanco misrepresents the information and says, "Oh, these crystals, they're new. We just discovered them. But when we date them, they've been here millions of years." Nothing could be further from the truth. They just have old information, but they are essentially a new organism. You thought the Earth stopped creating when it created humans and mammals? Why do you think the Blanco say he's always finding new insects? He's always finding new mammals, new creatures, because they can just be created. Dimensions can clash. We're going to get off into that in later segments, but we're talking about there's always creation. You're talking about the creator, yet you don't even acknowledge the creator as a creator. You think they stopped creating because you were created? How arrogant of you. Because what you're going to see is the Crystal Wars, or Star Wars, as the Blanco been telling you they were, are kicking off. 2024 is that year, brothers and sisters. It is without a shadow of a doubt. It is without a shadow of a doubt. And this is why we're here, because we want you to know how the story started and how it ends. This is the whole point about this. We want you to know how the story started. Because some people say, okay, this sounds like a good story. Yeah, you might got a lot of credit in terms of showing us the scientific articles and documentation regarding crystals, and everything is crystals. But how can I use it? The same way the earth is using it. The same way the earth is using it. Okay, this is the whole point of this. We told you now, when you understand the power of this, get your crystals right in terms of your water, your other crystals that obviously will crystallize with all of these crystals. And this symbiotic energy is what will lead to reestablishing and rebalancing yourself. That's your primary concern. Okay, then after that, you entertain ideas and thoughts and concepts that help you to solidify or to strengthen or to codify the way that you think, so that you don't have any interruptions, so that you don't slip and fall, that you remain consistent and that you remain disciplined, because we show you the power of crystals. All right, we're going to preface this by 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107, because I say the best for last. The allowance is made for fair use for the purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, scholarship, education. But overall, here at the FOF Squad, waking your ass up. So what we're finna show you that, remember, this says two things. One, how when they discover some things, they keep it to themselves. And two, that all that talk that you heard from the Blanco, no matter where he was at, over in Asia, or even over here, no matter where he's at, he feigns this idea that he's for other people, but he's crystal hunting. That's exactly what he's doing. And when he finds out how they work, all of a sudden, you don't hear no more from him. He talked about all these advancements, the war on this, war on cancer, war on that. He never completes his thing because that's all to tell you that, or to get you to believe that he's really here to help further humanity, that I'm helping it to evolve. Look at the tech. Look what I brought. Look, where would you guys be if it wasn't for me manipulating the electromagnetic spectrum? Where would you be? Okay? So ultimately what happens is that it was a video that was leaked, put on the internet, and obviously because we're not adept at these things and most people are not alchemists, and we're not, that's not going to happen, right? That's not going to be possible, but it was out there. It was out there, and it showed us what they knew. They showed us what they knew. They had finally seen crystals form. Because like we showed you, this is powerful. Like we showed you this lady right here. I'm going to share my screen. We showed you how this lady right here, Rosalind Franklin, used a science called X-ray crystallography to look at DNA. And at this time, this is in the late 40s, 1950s or whatever, obviously mid-20th century. At this time, they had never seen crystals before. So you working off a theory. This is occult shit. If I didn't have proof, you think that they would print something or publish something that I did without proof, without solid proof? This is why I'm letting you know. That's why I'm building on this, and I'm letting you know, and I'm reinforcing to you guys that these people are all in the occult. Okay, these people are all in the occult. So I'm gonna prep this video. Right quick. And let's get into it. Hold on. Let me share my screen.
Salt is an essential substance in our everyday lives, ranging from its use on icy roads to food seasoning. Looking at salt through a large magnifying glass, we see that the crystals are cuboid in shape.
Fucking pop up. What the hell? Hold on.
Crystals of chloride ions and sodium
What the
ions.
heck is that? What is this?
However, until now, nobody has seen how these crystals are formed. Capturing the moment of crystallization.
Hold on, guys. We're gonna have to go back. That shit was crazy. They don't pop up and interrupt. Come on, man. Started from right here.
Our everyday lives, ranging from its use on icy roads to food seasoning. Looking at salt through a large magnifying glass, we see that the crystals are cuboid in shape.
Crystals are cuboid in shape. Now watch them go into this science. Watch them.
Salt consists of regular cuboid crystals of chloride ions and sodium ions.
See that? See how you can get chloride, sodium. These are crystals. You look? Let me stop interrupting because I get too excited. Let me let this Blanco talk because, like they said, those who visited this channel for the first time, maybe they may have to hear it from the Blanco. I know the FOF Squad rock with me. Let's let this Blanco talk.
However, until now, nobody has seen how these crystals are formed.
So until now, 2007, nobody had seen how crystals form. So we let you know that photo that Rosalind Franklin used as a science of crystallography and stuff, they were in the occult. They were just fishing around hunting for these crystals. They were fishing around hunting for these crystals, specifically human crystals. This is why your DNA or your carbon is valued, because we know when carbon bonds with itself, it can form diamond and other elements, right? And you wonder why melanin and all of this stuff is worth so much on the black market, because the real crystal or the most valuable one obviously is the human crystal. Okay, but we're letting you know where the human crystal was made. This is why you have deep associations with mountains, because this is where the crystals are birthed and come from. Okay. All right. And some people go off into mountains being old, huge trees and the like and all of that different stuff. But we ain't going to go out. Those are later segments, right? We just building. Just walk with your boy. Okay. Let's continue.
Capturing the moment of crystallization. In 2021, a research group in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Tokyo was able to record the formation of a salt crystal on video using an electron microscope, the first in the world.
Oh, hold up. Forgive me, 2021, not even 2007. Correct me. I stand corrected.
Usually, an electron microscope only shows a still image. However, in 2007, this research team was the first in the world to film organic molecules, which constantly change shape with each passing moment. Now, let's look at how salt crystals are formed.
See, pause. This is also important. This is what's called a high-powered electron microscope, brothers and sisters. This is what supposedly they look at viruses with. This is what you don't see in hospitals. That's why I'm telling you, most people have Hollywood mindsets. They watch movies where they look at a doctor, look at a microscope, and it's a virus in there. No, unless he's looking at it through this type of microscope, he ain't see shit. He ain't see shit. That's Hollywood. Okay, but let's continue.
Using an electron microscope. First, a carbon nanotube is used as a tiny container to prevent the molecules from escaping. Then, a saline solution is poured into the nanotube. The water is then removed using a vacuum, which we can observe using this electron microscope.
Now that's important. Now understand this. This is this carbon tube right here. It's water in there, right? They're using carbon to create, because carbon is housed in this crystal. So always pay attention. Everything you use in an experiment is called a variable. Everything matters, down to what you conduct the experiment with. So they have this carbon tube, right? Because all right. So, and then they have the salt crystals inside this tube with the water, and they're going to extract the water from the carbon tube. Okay. And this is important. I want you guys to understand this. We about to get, man, this shit about to be explosive. All right. Let's go.
The images obtained show the growth of an NaCl or sodium chloride crystal repeated 9 times for 152 seconds in a conical shape.
You see this? Oh my goodness. They're going to go in slow motion so you guys can see it.
First, sodium ions and chloride ions bind at the top of the carbon nanotube and become progressively larger.
As the water evaporates, the crystals become larger. That's why you get kidney stones and blood and all that different stuff, brothers and sisters, because when you're dehydrated, this is when your crystals form. They get larger because what water does is water continues to keep. Let me talk to y'all. Let me give you a jewel right quick. Hold the fuck up. Let me talk to you right quick. Let me talk to you right quick. What water does is water rotates molecules. It rotates them. Like, you see that cube that people love to play with? It rotates it, okay, till it gets it in the correct shape. And it strengthens crystals is what it does. And ultimately it makes them larger. All right. And we're going to go into a topic to show you that this happens with food too as well. It's something that you're familiar with, because like I told you, a lot of what you know, a lot of alchemy you already know. You just didn't see it in this way. And that's why this is important. We got to transform the way that we see this thing. Right. Okay. So when water. So like I said before, you take a look at even the marijuana plant. When you're curing the plant or drying it, most growers know this. you want the water to be released at a certain temperature, at a certain rate, because that water rotates the THC molecule. And if the water's in there too long, guess what happens? It destroys the crystal. Then it becomes moldy weed, and the weed is no good. But if it's extracted just right, you keep the taste, you keep the flavor, all of the crystals, and so forth and so on. But like we said, as we see with a human being, there can be ill effects. Because when you lose the water, any crystals in your body, which is practically mostly everything traveling in your blood and your blood itself, right? It begins to crystallize and thicken or crystal, like we said, right? So the Blanco got a lot of terms for stuff, but right here, he's showing you that he already knew that this is what happens in the body. So when we got people talking about that you can trust these individuals, they already knew this information. And what did they do? Absolutely nothing. They're definitely not relaying it to you. But let's move on and let this video continue, because what they're going to do is they're going to put it in slow motion. You can see it, and you can literally see those are crystals. They're actually getting bigger as the water is taking out of the carbon tube. Okay.
The size of each crystal is 1 nanometer. That is to say, 1/1000th of a meter.
She said the size, and then notice she said the size of each crystal. So, but see, when you're talking about sodium and chloride and all of that different stuff, people get lost. They think, I've heard of sodium, I've heard of chloride, you've heard of chlorine, bleach, and all that. You don't think of these things as crystals. You just don't associate them with crystals. But this is how they get down. This is chemistry. This is the chemical industry. Okay, let's continue.
This is about 100,000 times smaller than the thickness of a human hair.
There you go. You see these crystals form. I want to pause it, give you the still shot at the darkest moment. And you see how they just kept getting bigger. They was right there, started off small, and as the water left, the crystals got bigger and bigger. This is important for you to understand. This is the process of life, brothers and sisters. And remember, the Blanco taught you this in school. He told you that what was critical to your cells was the sodium potassium pumps. Those crystals on the inside and out, and how sodium goes in and potassium goes up, these transport systems, bringing these crystals in and out of your blood running on a crystal called iron, okay? Being made inside of a crystal house called the skeletal framework, which is predominantly made of calcium, which is a metal, which is a crystal. Okay, let's continue.
We can see here that a 4x6 rectangular crystal nucleus is formed. The ions fluctuate between a completely unordered state and a partly ordered state.
And that's important, because that's what's saying, like, in the process of attempting to acquire this perfection, it goes through order and disorder. It goes through order and disorder. Let me talk to you. It goes through order and disorder. That's why I told you. You see how quickly this is happening at that scale? They had to slow this down for you. Remember I was telling you how fast crystals bond? They had to slow that down for you to see it. For them to see it. So this is extreme. That's why I'm telling you guys before. That's why it's so important that you have the right crystals in your body, because they're going to make these shapes. And you see the orderly shape that it was in? Okay? Does it remind you of a game called Tetris? All right, remember I told you guys they knew about these formations. Remember it's in the shape of a cube. Tetris translates as 4, the number 4. Okay? So this is important stuff that you need to know. They always knew about this esoteric information. Their thing was, how do we manipulate it? How do we make it work for us? Because that's the only option that we have available for us. If you think that you're going to use the Blanco's crystals in the form of his weapons, his so-called physical weapons, remember they're made out of carbon. Carbon is a crystal. It can be as soft as graphite in your pencil. It can be hard as a diamond. You think it was black because, yeah, that's a nice color, you think, but he's letting you know symbolically he knows exactly what he's using. And lead is another metal or a crystal. He's shooting you with crystals. This gets deep when you visualize this the correct way. That's why you see that Silverman could be, take the bullets, because he would turn into complete carbon, or he would turn into the hardest form of carbon, or the diamond. So when you shot Superman, the lead did not work because this one thing you got to understand. Let's go back. In the periodic table of elements, this is metal. Like I said, you are an organic metallic being. Okay, carbon is considered a non-metal, but when it bonds with iron, it makes steel. That's why Superman's nickname was the Man of Steel. Okay, Superman's nickname was the Man of Steel. You have to understand that. Quick note. Okay, let me pull this down right quick just to show you exactly where we're going with this. No, matter of fact, let me talk to you before I share this article. So, how do we get faster crystallization with the right crystals? Okay, first we know that we have to keep the right water in this because the water is essential for the right plasma. And also this plasma morphs and becomes our cerebral spinal fluid, which bathes and houses and protects the brain. Okay, so this is essential for the central nervous system, for this to be intact. This activates our iron or our crystal inside of our blood because we know iron is not a magnet naturally. A magnet can be activated naturally by an electrical field. This is the purpose of the plasma. So once your water and your plasma is right, now your iron or the right iron sources have to be right and the other crystals have to be right. Your potassium, your magnesium. You think for 1 hot second because the Blanco know about these elements that he gonna give you the right potassium and the right magnesium? So you look on the back of your cereal box, you see all of those minerals and vitamins or so-called crystals, and you thought those were the real crystals? And he telling you these crystals are essential for your life. I have a daily value for you to have these crystals, yet you think I'm gonna give you the real ones? Because I know when you have the right crystals, they create an electrical field, you become a magnet, and then you attract everything you think about. You literally attract everything you think about. And you can see how our people became magnetic because they knew that they were made up of the same substance. So a magnet can do the work that you wouldn't have to exert that much energy. Okay? Because most of the weight of a crystal comes from its bonds. So they are bonding to this, making it appear that it's heavy because of how strong the bond is. But once you get at the heart of that object and its magnetism, you can move it and push it around and it can be 2 tons like the Olmecs did. Okay? This is the power that we hold. This is the power of being a crystallogian. But first you must understand what crystals are. So like we said before, what are some of the most powerful crystals? Of course, they show you in the media, they have you transfixed with the outside. Remember we told you even at the esoteric level, we see people with crystals and doing witchcraft and black magic and all of this different stuff. And that's how we associate it because most people have a Hollywood mindset. And then on the other hand, even if you have a secular mindset or you have a worldly thought, you associate crystals with diamonds and chains and gold and all of that. And that's how you want to adorn yourself for crystals because they want you to see that it's always on the outside. But if you pay attention to the God-like food and the God substances coming out of these volcanoes or these creative energy forces, then you would realize that the best crystals to take in would be food thyself. Or at least we call it food, or at least you think it's food, but it's crystals. We about to go off into an article. We finna show you this. This is going to be dynamic, absolutely dynamic, all right? Because another jewel hidden in plain sight. So let me prep this right quick. All right. Hold on. And then after that, we're going to get into a quick Q&A. King Malik asks, is graphene graphite? Graphite is not. Graphite is what your pencils are made of. Remember, they used to think they were called lead pencils, but they were not called lead pencils. It's, lead is graphite. Pencils are made out of graphite, which is the soft material. That's what's in your pencil. That lead, that's not lead, that's graphite. That's a very soft material. Okay, Breakdown says, is the still water good? No. I mean, it doesn't have all the impurities and all that different stuff, but it doesn't have any minerals. That's the point between that liquid and gas phase, of extracting the water out, because what you do is you extract you heat the liquid up and then it turns to vapor. Then you obviously condense it and then it turns back to water. Videos on YouTube where you'll have people, throwing electrical appliances and distill water and you get no electrical reaction because it's dead water. So it's essentially called dead water, right? So yeah. But we'll get off into that. So let's share this article right quick. Health check. What's better for you, fresh, dried, or frozen fruit? Okay, you can even see the frozen crystals on the water as it freezes and stuff like that. Crystals on crystals, baby. All right, so let's go. Okay. All right, we talk about what's in fruit. It's largely based on the fact that many fruits have a low energy calorie content and packed with nutrients. Nutrients include vitamins, crystals rather, fiber, and bioactive, because we know that minerals are crystals. So when they say fruit contains crystals, you got to look at this stuff differently, brothers and sisters. This stuff is, I mean, it's when you change up your way that you look at this is just amazing. All right, now they talk about freezing fruit, drying it, and all of that different stuff. Okay, so when you dry the fruit, remember we showed you that video of crystallization. When you dry the fruit, it concentrates the fruit sugar dramatically. For example, apricot sugar levels rise from 9.5% when fresh to 54.2% when dried. This is why some have described dried fruits as like sugar bombs. Although the World Health Organization does not classify dried fruit as something we should limit in the diet, right? Because the World Health Organization know about fruits, right? They have the World Health Organization obviously is part of the powers that be, right? And we know that they considered made the year 2014 the year of crystallography. Okay, so we know that they know about these crystals, right? That's why they know they can't really just not give you an opportunity to take advantage of what is out here, right? Mother Nature allows us that. Okay, so what happens is that drying increases levels of some vitamins and minerals. Drying increases levels of some vitamins and minerals. All right. Again, through the effect of concentrating the nutrients or the crystals, because that's what it is when water is lost. But we already know this because we've seen a video of this, brothers and sisters. So when we dry our crystals, you see what I'm saying? Especially the right ones, the organic ones, these become powerhouses or power bombs, crystal bombs, if you will. They increase their crystal integrity and strength. This is how everything bonds anyways. But the blog boy showed you when you dry fruit, because I remember back when I was little, I look at some dried fruit and I'll be like, if it ain't got no added sugar, how come a raisin has more sugar than a grape? Ain't raisins made from grapes? Why does sugar, they'd be like, well, sometimes they add sugar. But then I would get organic raisins and I would look at the back and I would see this high sugar content and I would say, okay, it has 0 added sugars. So why does these raisins have such a high sugar content? And now you know. The sugar crystallizes as the water evaporates. But we've shown you a video and obviously we've shown you evidence as this is the process. Some fruit is sun-dried, like raisins. You can get sun-dried raisins. You have a solar crystal, a central power source, or a crystal or a plasma crystal hitting another crystal, making more crystals. It'll take the water, it'll slowly release with the water keep rotating them crystals, rotating those crystals. And then it'll just continue to keep multiplying, making a super crystal. And see, that's powerful because what you have is when you eat dried fruit and eat a super crystal and then you eat some bad crystals, oh, you in for one hell of an episode. That's when the stomach gets to rumbling, indigestion and stuff, pains, ulcers. Okay, then over time, if you continue the same diet, DIE, then you enter into that realm where you have autoimmune diseases, chronic illnesses, etc. Breakdown of the body. And we told you, we gave an example how a human body could be buried thousands of years ago and we excavated and it's got all its teeth. Yet we can't survive 30 years off the European diet and its crystals without the body breaking down and teeth falling out the mouth. That shows you how poisonous his crystals are. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to, let me see. What's the last thing that I want to say with all of this? Yeah, so basically, Yeah, when we talk about them coming from these mountainous regions and these mountains being spiritual symbols of, you know, creative crystal energy. This is why you have all of these individuals who are seen as leaders in spiritual crafts always go to mountains in order to receive their energy. That's what that was really truly all about. You know, our ability to see that this is a crystal realm is extremely important. Nothing could be more important, brothers and sisters, because nothing is more important in alchemy. So when you get these Blancos that came here, they say they came from the Caucasus Mountains or Caucasus crystals. They come from a crystal mountain that is foreign to us. They come from a crystal makeup that is foreign to us. And they're constantly making different crystal beings. You better believe they're going to be new beings to pop up. Some have already been here. Others are new. This is the creative process. Human beings have to get out of this idea that, one, we've always been alone. But the animals told us that. It was this idea that we were saying that, oh, because you're not human, your life doesn't matter. How was humans ever alone? Blanco was, are we alone in the universe? Bitch, we surrounded by shit. You ain't even tapped into all the oceans. We got whales, dolphins, sharks, elephants, you know, giraffes and insects. And you talk about, are we alone? Obviously not, bitch. Obviously not. If we were alone, a fucking pest, motherfucker who kill pests wouldn't have a fucking job. Like, you know, what the fuck is wrong with us when we take on this type of perception? We were never alone. We were never alone. We always shared this realm. Remember, the job was to hide certain crystal beings, because if you notice, you know, it's an excellent movie. I'm gonna share two stories with you. If you can ever get an opportunity to watch this cartoon, because I'm big off into anime, because that's where a lot of the secrets is told. Obviously, I was a big Superman fan, but I looked at Superman because I knew it was our story. I didn't fall in love with the Superman character or Man of Steel because, for what everybody generally fell in love with it for. I knew that was our story, even when I didn't have all the information to, you know what I'm saying, or provide enough evidence to myself to make that concrete. But the point is that when you take a look at the Superman story, it's the Man of Steel, it's carbon, it's iron bonding with carbon. But in this particular story, Superman dies. Okay, no, he lands in the wrong place. It's called the Flash Paradox. Now they made a movie recently called the Flash Paradox, I think about a couple years ago. But the Flash Paradox, the cartoon one, is dope. That's why I don't even know why they made the actual movie. They fucked up the cartoon, which is hard to do, right? But anyways, the cartoon showed that Superman, because when Flash ran back in time to save his mother, because remember, Flash's mother died, so he goes back in time to save his mother, and when he does that, he changes up everything. He no longer has the superpowers, right? Batman's son wasn't the one who died. Batman's father wasn't the one who died. Batman's son was the one who died. So Bruce died, and his father was alive. So all these different changes, right? And the other thing that was apparent was that, like we said, Superman didn't land in Smallville. He landed on government property. So they found out what type of crystal makeup he was. They hid him from the sun. They would never let him get any sun. And he was under national security. And what's so crazy, in the cartoon, Barack Obama's the president. In the cartoon. With his name and everything. You see what I'm saying? Like, they know about this occult shit. So, and then, when we take a look at, let me see what the other example was that I was thinking about, because not just a video game, with the cartoon. I was watching The Simpsons. I can't make this up. I was talking to I was watching The Simpsons. And, it was, what is his friend's name? Bart's friend, Milhouse. Milhouse went to school one day, right? And they were teaching history class, right? And in Springfield, Milhouse grandparents had built this gazebo, right? And it was supposed to be a romantic setting, and people were supposed to come and woo their girlfriends and wives and all that different shit. So they started playing this music and wooing their women and shit. You know, it was comedic. It was like, oh, it's too much wooing. And the vibrations began to shatter the gazebo. The gazebo fell down on everybody and killed everybody, right? So they tell that story, and Milhouse goes back home. He's all upset and distraught. He's like, oh, my people, my ancestors were some killers and blah, 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 and all this different stuff. So his father gets upset, goes down to the school and is like, I want you guys to stop teaching whatever Milhouse and them family last name was. He called it critical Millhouse theory or something, whatever that last name was. He tied it into critical race theory. He was like, you guys are teaching us, making us out to be bad. Like, yeah, we killed some people and we did some bad things, but you can't make my son feel guilty. So you see the Simpsons is playing on this critical race theory, this black agenda and all this different stuff. So what's interesting is Homer's going through a little thing on his own, right? He's staying at home. He got some time off and he's selling these shirts, these copper shirts, right? They're all black and they got copper in them. Now, these shirts are supposed to, give you a slogan because Homer's trying to figure out how can I make some extra money because he's going broke. He's spending more of his money, so he's trying to figure out how to make money. He makes these shirts, black shirts, obviously we know the symbolism, with copper inside of them, and then he sells them to Millhouse Father because Millhouse Father eventually becomes successful through his campaigning on shutting the schools down from teaching about the history. Right? So then Millhouse Father go even further. He start restricting everything and all of this different stuff. So what he ends up doing, he ends up rebuilding the gazebo even bigger and grander. And he invites everybody that supported him. They all wearing these black t-shirts with copper inside of them. And then as everybody starts dancing and celebrating and stuff, they all become electric and magnetize the gazebo and cause the gazebo to come down and crash. And the scientists that was there was like, oh, they're magnetized, they're becoming magnetic. Now, if you was too foolish, you would have lost the clues. You would have lost the symbolism. Obviously, they showed you that they was talking about black people from the beginning of the episode. When it was the critical race theory. Then they put the black t-shirts on with the copper and all of that different shit. And then when they came together, started holding hands, they got magnetic and brought down the dome. My goodness, let me go to the chat. Turn up the volume on the video. It's a bit low. Was that crystal video low? That crystal video probably was low. I'm sorry about that, you guys. Yeah, because I've been trying to fix it. You see, I had to go through other means just to make sure that there was a mic available when I switched screens, because for some odd reason when I switch it to its default, it's just crazy, man. Just crazy. You know what I'm saying? But hold on. Breakdown says, I thought our crystals came from stars. Remember what we told you stars were? Remember what we told you stars, lightning, plasma, the sun are all plasma, different forms of plasma. Some are more intense than others. That's why they say that you have stars in you. Stars are made of plasma. We gave you the articles for this from the University of Massachusetts. You can look up you can just look up plasma. I mean, like we said, there's none that I'm telling you. That's why I give you the articles. And I also tell you guys, do your due diligence in terms of looking these things up. Look up crystals. Before you know it, you're going to start seeing information just come at you out of nowhere, and you're going to see that this is our existence. How we manipulate these crystals will determine will make the difference between life and death, whether or not we're able to create that bridge to go from the natural to the supernatural. This is how important this stuff is. We see the Blanco in the many measures that they've taken, extreme ones especially, in order to ensure that they maintain a monopoly on these new crystals. We showed you the video, right, or the article. Let's go into it again. Let's just for clarity to show you these things, because I don't think that I gave you guys a picture of it. The last article didn't have a picture of this crystal, but you need to see this sun crystal that's in the Congo. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, this is the Kundalini citrine crystal. Okay, here it is right here. This is found in the Congo. All right, found in the Congo. All right, for healing purposes and all of this different stuff. And it says, now notice this. This is also, so while we got ourselves concentrated in the Congo for the cobalt, notice what they say about this crystal. Both on the physical, it says making it extremely protective for the environment. It works out problems on both the physical and subtle levels, transforming negative thoughts and feelings into positive ones. It is one of only 2 crystals on Earth that never needs to be cleared or cleansed. The other is kyanite. You talk about rare fucking energy. And like I said before, I told y'all, I said, you thought they was in the Congo just for the cobalt. And even if they was, you don't even understand the magnitude of that or the depths of the range of cobalt because of its many applications, commercial, military, and otherwise. Okay? So I'm showing you that they're there for all of the crystals. The ones that they put on the news is the ones they want you to be concentrated on. Because like this is Star Wars or Crystal Wars, if you will. And that's why I'm telling you to be prepared. And the only way to do that is first to know what it's all about so that you can change up your paradigm, right? Or change up your stance, incur a paradigm shift. Understand that you are a crystal organic metallic being, the crystallogens. This is what they call you. I didn't make this up. You know how somebody tell me, man, that crystallogens is hot. Where you get that from? That's what they call you. Look up crystallogens. I don't call you that. That's why I make sure to use the Blanco science, because if somebody calls me pseudo, you calling the Blanco pseudo. That's where I got it from. Oh, he talk about crystals. Guess where Heru got it from? Come at me with that trash. So let's say Full Metal Alchemist. Oh, come on now, Hamichi. You already know I'm on Full Metal. That's my guy right there. Come on. That is my guy right there. Yeah, stars are plasma supposedly exude. Can't see that dude though. Let me see where that's at. Exude certain minerals that crystallize during their fall, supposedly. Yeah, because breakdown in my book, I show the article where scientists say, millions of years supposedly, when our sun burns out, it's literally will become a diamond. A white dwarf is a diamond. It will be a crystal in the sky. It will be, hold on, man. Hold on. Let me see if this pulls up. I can't make this shit up, y'all. Okay, so y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Oh yeah, Chef. Look, Chef. Let's go on this. Let's knock them out the park with this one. Let's share our screen. This is Seeker.com, astronomy. Our sun will turn into a crystal before it dies. When the sun dies, it's going to turn into a crystal. A study recently published in Nature shows that in 10 billion years after the sun runs out of fuel to burn, its core will become a white dwarf made up of crystal, metallic oxygen, and carbon, and the sun won't be alone. Wow. I am killing you niggas. Okay? So how much evidence do we need, brothers and sisters? How much evidence do they need? All right? How much evidence do they need when we talk about this? When you got to understand, like, especially when they're manipulating the earth and their ideas about how the earth has come to its form, in terms of tectonic plate shifting and all these. These are still theories, brothers and sisters. You have to understand this. These are hypotheses. Nothing is factual with these Blancos. They sitting running around seeing the earth in the frenzy, and it's this crystal energy that's in the frenzy. New crystal organisms. All organisms are made of crystal substances, so you have to understand that you're dealing nothing but with new crystallogens. New crystal organisms are finding their way in this realm. All right, by virtue or by means of Mother Earth in this activity. So you can expect. That's why you notice. You can expect anytime that there is going to be a new change. The symbol is the volcano or the mountain. The symbol is the volcano. But remember, not all mountains are volcanoes. Not all mountains have this volcanic crystal energy. Remember, volcanic or volcanism is the magma. It's not a physical structure. It's the magma. And this magma is this trinity of energy called, solid, liquid, and gas. The solid in crystal form. We just showed you the article. Okay. So this is very important stuff for us to like we said, to take in, because when we realize that we are crystal beings, okay, we are crystallogens, and how we experience this realm is through the interaction of crystal building. You see in these games like Tetris and Candy Crush, like you put these bonds together, they give you jewels or they give you crystals. They always knew the esoteric language. Even when you talk emerald tablets, emeralds, crystals, how much evidence do you need to be right in front of your face? But remember, we said that these crystals crystallize at different temperatures. That's why it's sort of chaotic, right? We know that water crystallizes at higher temperatures, when it's frozen. Okay, we know that salt, sodium chloride, crystallizes at room temperature. That's why we can see it as a crystal. But if you change the temperature by putting it in a liquid, what happens when you put that salt and that sugar in that glass of water? It disappears, but it was still a crystal, but it just changed form. This is deep. This is, we have to understand these things. The only time that you're going to see a crystal is at its temperature, which actually allows it to crystallize. Like metals, in order to put two metals together, you have to melt them first to create an alloy or two metals. And then as it cools, it crystallizes. Because most metals obviously are crystals at room temperature and most higher temperatures, okay? All right. King Malik says, about distilled water, if you re-add minerals such as Himalayan salt, would that give the water life? Theoretically, right? You know, and you're dealing with very complex machinery when you're talking about the organic metallic melanated eumelanin being, right? So of course anything is possible with us, but in my opinion, when you get water that is because you know it has to go through some process, right, of purification, right? We have to filter our water, so ain't no getting around that unless you live by a spring. If you have the ability, you know, be fortunate enough to live by a spring that's not been contaminated by, you know, this matrix, then you're in the best position of all of us, right? But if you're not in that position, like I said, filtration process is key to getting great water, and you can add in a remineralization filter if it's available for a certain model of a filtrator, and you can use that. Right? Because you don't want to play with your water. The water, you know, strengthens your plasma. It turns into plasma. You look up the constituent makeup of plasma, cerebrospinal fluid, it's going to tell you it's 98% water. You look up the makeup of blood, it's going to tell you it's 98% water. It's just water changing different forms. I gave this example before. I said, if me and you own a company, I own 98%, you own 2%. Who owns the company? If blood is 98% water, why is they calling it blood? It should be called water blood. If something is 98%, it is that substance. But that 2%, that dramatic change, what the Blanco says, I need you to focus on that. I need you to focus on that red shit. Forget about the fact that it's 98% water. Get your head out the clouds, nigga. Keep being distracted. Okay? And yeah, appreciate you coming in too. Breakdown said I'm new here. Well, welcome to the FOF squad. Welcome to the FOF squad. You see what I'm saying? Naruto, I heard about Naruto anime. Yeah. I ain't really dig into that, but a lot of people be telling me to check it out. And Breakdown said they don't come from that mountain. They were placed in it and imprisoned there for a time, which is even more of a, like, whatever story you take, you see what I'm saying? Coming in the mountain, going out of the mountain, in the cave, out of the cave. It's the crystal symbolism. Being trapped inside of a crystal, you know, imprisoned in the crystal. If you notice, that's the only thing that imprisoned. If you go back to the Superman movie, one of the last ones where it was the guy who played Gladiator, played Superman's dad, Russell Crowe, I believe his name is. You check out that Superman movie, because when they banished the guy who came back to find Superman's child, Superman, after he was successfully evacuated to Earth, when they were captivated, they were frozen with a crystal. They were crystallized and then ejected from the ship. They were crystallized and then ejected from the ship. See what I'm saying? So this is very important. It says, where does the salt and tears come from? Well, as it leaves the ducts, obviously the salt and tears comes from, that's the same substance. You know, it might be obviously slightly different chemically so it doesn't irritate the eyes or the ducts, but yeah, you just, you know, the body's just transforming minerals, transforming carbon, all right, into different things, okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See, I got this article. I thought I had this article. Was it here? I may not have that. No, matter of fact, I think it may be. Yeah, I think it may be in this article right here. I think it may be in this article. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Let me see. Okay. Nah, it's not in that one. Okay. I think it's in this one. Okay, so yeah, it's in this one because we're gonna read further down this article just to show you, just and show you how this stuff happens, right? All right, I'm share my screen. This was that article. You know, why do diamonds erupt from Earth's depths? Scientists have the answer. We know they've been had the answer, but they still ain't gonna give you all of the truth, right? So, we're gonna go down and show you exactly how this works. Okay, so it says the disruption in the mantle is powerful enough to break chunks of rocks off the base of the continental plate. These rocks are under such immense pressure that over hundreds of millions of years, carbon deposits can change structure to form diamond. Carbon deposits can change structure to form diamonds. So basically, brothers and sisters, what you have is through this process of heat, through what the water crystal holds, it begins to rotate, change up the crystal. When you rotate and change crystals, you change its position in the environment, which in turn changes the light, and the light changes the message. Okay, when we're dealing with light, some people say, okay, I said, oh, with these crystals, we got to worry about the right crystals because crystals transmit light. People say, I feel you on that, hey, Rue. The whole light thing, you know, transmitting light, I've heard that sound, because once again, light, when we talk about transmitting light, spirituality, people think chakras, kundalini, which are all great concepts, but once again, it turns it back into something that's not accessible, that's not reachable. We then begin to think like we're in fantasy land, but we have to understand with this light, only thing you have to know to see how important light is understand two things. One, about the skin, your largest organ. We've already told you. Look up the book or get the book Skin, where Nina G. Jablonski tells you that one of the primary responsibilities of the skin is to absorb light. Okay? Now, we also understand a very important organ, a very important endocrine gland that is essential to all our functions and is responsible for regulating our biological system or clock as we know it. And that is the pineal gland. Okay. Now we know that when the pineal gland hits, no more light hits the eye, the pineal gland gets a signal to start secreting the most powerful hormone. It acts like a hormone, but the most powerful antioxidant, whatever you want to call it, they got so many names for it, known to man. All right, known to man, that acts on the gonads or sexual organs, right? But you know, this is light committing these signals. Also, look at your technology. The light is going through wires. Light is multi-dimensional. You see, the light is carrying the visual part about it and the sound too as well, transmitted through you through cords. Okay, you plug it in your equipment or it's wireless. It's taking that light energy, reconfiguring it, giving you a physical image, and it's also giving you sound. So I told you, light carries information or messages. Your technology uses this is your technology using light. But you looking at light as, oh, what I can see. No, light holds sound, physical data. What you think your laptop and your phones are doing? That is light being transmitted, and then you can get sound out of that. You can get a visual image out of that. You can get different colors out of that. This is all light. You have to start reframing your existence. Okay. Nina, because Black Sun asked for that book, Skin. How do you spell the author's name? I believe it's Nina, Nina, G, the letter G, and I believe it's Jablowski, Jablowski. So Jablowski, Nina G. Jablowski. Her book is entitled Skin. Yeah, and one of the only few books out there on skin, because she blew the doors off with that book. Of course, you know, it's contaminated with a lot of, you know, with some Blanco pseudoscience in there. But I mean, what you're going to do, they're not going to give you all the truth. It's your job to be able to deduce what you're, or, you know, to critically analyze what you're reading and draw your own determination, right? Not to be misled by, you know, the little, you know, things that they put in there that can get you to think like them, because that's powerful. That's why always in my book, I get you, and even on my platform, I get you to come to your own determination and think. Let's just provide the evidence. But, you know, if it's overwhelming, we could all make a case, right? It's not like it's about following anybody. We're looking at all of this data. We're crunching the numbers and stuff, and we're seeing that the math ain't mathing when it comes to this Blanco talking about what the nature of this existence really is. So that's very troubling. And the fact of the matter is, with a very troubling record in terms of his history with other mankind or humankind or whatever, however he chooses to call us, whatever he chooses to call us, that means that we shouldn't trust him in the first place. You got too much to prove, homeboy. I look at you as a liar first, but yet we got a lot of people who hold on to these European concepts and ideas because it has defined them. Not here on this channel. You have to understand they always knew the truth about this energy, what encapsulates it, the moments of evolution in terms of, you know, what a human being goes through. When a human baby is born, the first 2 to 3 years of his life is extremely important because he and she begins to secrete these androgens or male hormones or crystals that are of the male variety, right? And then as a male and a female, you grow up and then you hit puberty. Here come the crystals again. These androgens get sent again. And then all of a sudden, you just peak out because you think that this energy is just all about fucking and procreation and enjoyment. And then the body's like, you got to catch up. You got to start getting the right crystals so I can take you to the next level, because it's levels to this shit. And you got to think, you fought millions of other beings literally to get here. It has to be about something. Why would you fight so many people, literally so many other crystals, to get here? You're the only one. Consciously, you running around confused. You running around confused about life. And yet the body, this flesh and blood that convinced you it was through religion when you were an organic metallic being, has stated, I've been had your back. I never rest. You go to sleep. The brain never rests. The heart never rests. And you want to talk about immortal energy, and you literally have the energy in you. You consciously are the only one at rest. Your higher self never sleeps. Matter of fact, scientists have told you your higher self works harder when you are asleep than when you're awake. And you want to know what immortality feels like, and yet you have a brain and a heart that runs off energy that never rests. Because if it did rest, that means your ass 6 feet under the ground. Your heart and your brain can't take a rest. You think you work nonstop. Imagine being an organ that can't quit or you die. Imagine the pressure. You can't even count on your damn self like that. Imagine the pressure. King Malik says, bought some books on chemistry and biology on the basis. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, because that's how it starts. I'm telling you, because once you familiarize yourself with this, you're going to start to just break it, decode it down. It's going to be relatively easy and simple. And you're going to come back to what we're coming to here now and the conclusions that we're drawing now, which is that when you get this powerful energy intact, you balloon. I mean, you know, it takes a lot because you have to become, you are the lab and the scientist. The body is the lab. The mind is the scientist. Okay, so you know that you, as a captain, you got to go down with the ship. This is a very challenging feat. It takes it's going to draw Herculean energy out inside of you in order to accomplish it, because you're dealing with being conditioned by a system, for decades, right? If you're an adult. And even more if you're obviously older. So it's a hard habits to break because they tie into your system, right? These crystals literally bond and almost become invincible. Because remember, we told you that's the definition of a diamond. Diamond is Greek for invincible. And so to repair ourselves requires a Herculean effort because we have to break down these crystals. Then these crystals become waste in our blood, making us sick. And they need to bond to other crystals in order to be exit out of the body. The Blanco calls this chelation, Chelate, to chelate, right? It sticks to other stuff, bonds, right? This is what all these antioxidants do. They bond to oxygen. They bond to the fire crystal and gets that fire crystal safely out of your body. Have you noticed that all the foods that you eat talks about antioxidants or against oxygen or against the fire crystal? Because when you inflame, the body can combust. Notice the Blanco never gave you a real explanation for spontaneous human combustion. Look up spontaneous human combustion. A human being can literally blow up in flames. The oxygen fire crystal can get so high. And scientists, once again, you know the Blanco, because he can't explain it with the science to give you. Oh, we have no clue as to why that happened. It's a phenomenon, a paradox, spontaneous human combustion. People have just burst into a ball of flames. Of course, we can't explain it with our science because our science really isn't a science, but nonetheless. So yeah, okay, a little bit of Q&A because we got a little bit of time before we get up out of here. Chef OB said, ain't no telling what high-tech shit they done came up with that crystal. I'm trying to tell you, they got that crystal from the Congo, nigga. They probably that bitch doing Star Wars shit for real. Trump told you. Trump was like, bitch, Star Wars. We got crystals, bitch. You niggas sitting up here, why you think we talking tough? Why you think we mobilizing? Why you think we manning up? Why you think we destabilizing everything? Because we think we found it. Okay. Says, what do you think about eating less as possible? When I eat less, I feel so in tune with my spirit, says Al-Basine. I think it's Al-Basine. Of course, yeah. Remember, we gave you articles about, NASA had conducted an experiment with this dude where all he did was sun eat. He ate a couple crystals or nutrients here and there, but he would just sun gaze, take in the sun's solar energy. Right? Because no matter what we got to understand is this is very important, brothers and sisters. Remember, we go back to that documentary I talked about It's in the Water. Remember, I tried to get you guys to realize, remember, you're a radioactive being. You know, if it's lead in your walls and paint, you will absorb that. Your body attracts what it needs. Okay? It will find it literally in the environment. You will absorb it in the environment. Okay? If an environment is toxic, chemical toxicity, radioactive, that environment is taped off, or people are not allowed in that environment. Why? Because you're going to absorb it through your skin. You're going to absorb. You ain't gonna have to put it in a bowl, get a fork and a spoon and eat it. You're going to absorb it through the skin. So what we got to understand is that it's all about how we absorb energy in terms of, reflecting on the brother's question. Like so if we take in the right energy sources or the right crystal, because ultimately the right crystal or the only crystal to take in is solar eating, right? We want to be able to bypass the plants and all of that. The plants are like the baby steps, just like how your mother holds your hand until you're able to walk, and then you're able to walk on your own. Plants are here to hold our hand until we're able to walk on our own. Till we're able to get the crystals directly from the central power source. Okay? Directly from the central power source. See, because they know about the central power source. Remember we told you about the electromagnetic spectrum. You have X-ray. It starts off with radio waves, microwaves. Then you have UV. Then you have visible light. Then you have X-rays, gamma rays, cosmic rays. So ultimately, it's still all one spectrum. But when you split it up, you do two things. One, you're able to understand it more. And two, you're able to pick what you need to use for technology. How do we know this? Give you an example. Excellent book here by Lynn McTaggart. Suggests that it's supposed to be in your suggests that it should be in your library. What Doctors Don't Tell You by Lynn McTaggart. What Doctors Don't Tell You by Lynn McTaggart. Okay? Now, I think she won an award for this book. Excellent book. Mind-blowing book. All right? So in this section, it was talking about radiation, right? And it was saying how, let me make sure I got this other one queued. it said that okay, so when we look at radiation, X-ray radiation, X-rays are the most common procedure you're likely to be exposed to at least once in your lifetime. Ionizing radiation is actually very high frequency waves which pass through living tissue, depending on how dense the tissues are. The body retains some of this radiation. So here I'm going to let you know. Let's let her finish. These absorbed rays are what gets recorded on the film as white or gray. So when the doctor's looking at your bones, that white matter that he's looking at when he puts up the bones and your X-ray, that's you absorbing the radiation. That's radiation he's looking at. That was absorbed by your bones, your crystals. Remember, it takes crystals to absorb radiation. We gave you the example of solar panels. If you order solar panels, you're going to have a chance, option between monocrystalline and polycrystalline. You're going to see the monocrystallines are more expensive because it's all one slab of crystal. Polycrystalline means many crystals. And you smack that polycrystalline slab out in front of your yard and use crystals to absorb the sun. Okay, so let her finish. All right. So she goes on to talk about how, to put these numbers into context, in case you are feeling complacent about the low doses from dental x-rays, a single bite wing dental x-ray is equivalent to smoking half a cigarette every day for a year. Even if everyone in medicine knows that x-rays are dangerous, possibly dazzled by another one of their miracles, the ability to see through living tissue, Superman style. See, because the Blanco woman know about the esoteric knowledge and stuff. This Blanco know he can only be Superman with artificial technology. But yet this X-ray technology is from the sun. You absorb it. It's in the atmosphere. But if your crystals are magnetized, you can attract the energy. So when we watch these movies and shows and read comic books and we get enthralled and we get connected to this crystal energy, we know it's for a reason. Some odd reason you sit back like, man, I don't know why I'm connected to this or that and the other. And you have to realize that the crystal energy is trying to make you aware that this is the energy that manipulates and the natural matrix. Okay, this is how you tap into everything else around you, because other than that, you're just really dealing with pseudo, or better yet, let's say it this way. You're not dealing with pseudo. You're just dealing with information you can't apply. You're just dealing with information you cannot apply. All right. So hold on one second. All right. Yeah, I'm telling you, Chef said brain and heart get no breaks, no breathers. You stop, it's a wrap. Yeah, that's what people gotta understand. That we already get a taste of immortal energy. Do you know what it is to work without no breaks? What type of energy that would have to be? What type of crystals you would have to be working with? And remind you, they told you the heart runs off electricity. You think it run off air? Oh, no. So what is the Blanco saying? Are we breathing air or electricity? Because the Blanco, he may be able to pump some breath in you, but he's trying to breathe his electricity into you. And as he does that, he pumps on your chest to try to create a circuit. Oh, my goodness. Let me stop, man. Let me stop. Let me stop. He know what you are. He know what you are. That's why he shock your ass to bring your ass to life, because you don't run off air, nigga. We need to stop it. Oh, yeah, Chef B said Batman versus Superman. Okay, yeah, light versus darkness. They know all of this shit. They know all of this shit. That's why they didn't care if the movie Batman vs. Superman was trash. They was like, nigga, did you get the message? Nigga, did you get the message? So, what is all of the multiverse entertainment in Hollywood all about? Is it all about making crystal beings? Well, it's about the manipulation. You know, you manipulate dimensions. Remember, dimensions, 3D, a dimension is all based off crystal. Is all based off the crystal anatomy. Remember, we told you guys, let's show this. Let's remind you guys of this, right? We got to understand, we got to start connecting the dots on those, which is like, it ain't no fault of ours, right? Because they designed it this way for it to be confusing, compartmentalizing information. That way we run around here thinking we know it all, but we don't, because we got to put these dots together. That's the only way this stuff is going to make sense. So I showed you guys this very important article from the Encyclopedia Britannica, very trusted and reliable resource. And I love the Encyclopedia Britannica because everybody in the intellectual community and scientific community rants about its reputation. So therefore, when I bring up sources from the Britannica, I shouldn't hear no objections from the other side. But here we go. Let's share our screen right quick and get into this. See, we want to remind you, types of bonds. Remember, crystal bonding, different types of bonding in crystals. You have metallic bonding, molecular bonding, covalent bonding, ionic bonding. These were all the bonds you were taught in chemistry, except the fact that they left out the most important title, crystal. They didn't say crystal bonding. They said chemical bonding. Okay, that's what they said. All right. They didn't want to say crystal. They just put it. They said, let's try another C word. Yeah, these niggas will never catch up. So, of course, they've been right because we ain't reading. And even if you can't read, if you don't understand what you have read, then nigga, you cannot read. So, as we see that these dimensions, you see these shapes, cubes, and it makes all of these different shapes. Remember, crystals are nothing but different organized shapes. Okay? Cubes, squares, squares and triangles, tetrahedrons, dodecahedron, icosahedron. These are all different shapes of crystals. So remember, as this crystal grows, it takes different shapes, goes through all this chaotic shit as it goes through enlarging itself. Okay, and each shape reflects light, and every different level of light is a different dimension. How do we know this? Because I showed you a video called How the Sun Sees You, and the Blancos walking around with a UV camera. And in the UV part of the electromagnetic spectrum, we got to see the world in a different light. What we thought looked like sunblock lotion was actually melanin. It was dark. Okay? When you saw glasses look black. That is the level of life at that dimension. See, me and O was even talking about this. We got to understand, it's other beings around here looking at life through a different dimension anyways. If you could see like a hawk a mile away, wouldn't you be considered superhuman? But the eyes or the crystals of the hawk are so concave, or I believe convex, or however it's structured, that when it bounces light, it's able to shoot it out and hone in on its prey or target. But it's made up of nothing different than what you're made out of. It's just the hawk's crystal arrangement. Artificial versus organic. I'm trying to tell you, man. Hey, brother, what's the Cash App? Cash App is $Heru, Heru 377. So $Heru 377, $Heru 377. I hope you guys been enjoying the content. Of course, so now that you see the spiritual significance behind all of this, we already talked about the spirit, the significance of signs and symbols operating on a level to where we're literate, so that we let nothing like this get over us. Who the key players are. We showed you the prominence of the Blanco woman, or the European woman who sits back and acts like she's not intimately involved and connected behind all of this. But we showed you names like Rosalind Franklin, Maria Orsic. Obviously, we know about names like Margaret Sanger. We showed you Francis Roosevelt, right? We talked about Helena Blavatsky. Okay, we mentioned all of these individuals who were the push behind esoteric thought, who understand the power of crystals because they have the ability to get closer to Mother Nature's energy. All right, and then that's why she stays in close proximity to Mother Nature's sons, if you will, which replenish her with the most powerful form of crystals in a more concentrated form called seminoplasma. So you gotta understand. So we look at the Mother Nature and we think that she's weak, but she created certain things to guard and protect her. That's why you have to understand, without her, you have no home, you have no future. Stop looking at this world in terms of allowing this Blanco to make these decisions for us, because we already know that's going to lead to utter destruction. He's articulated this existence as the sixth wave of extinction. We cannot have any faith, or we cannot have any belief in a system that is toxic and suicidal by nature, by an individual who is made from a different crystal makeup, right? That he articulates to you in his movies like Superman, knowing that Krypton is 36 to 36, not carbon. Okay, carbon is essential for life and essential for creation. You must understand that. All right. So this is the power of the crystal wars. This is the power of mountains and their spiritual significance. This is the power of understanding who the key players are. You see the sexual energy going haywire. You see the symbols represented to you by